Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NintendoFuse Game Chat. Today, we're talking all about Bright Lights of Svetlov on Nintendo Switch. So, Bright Lights of Svetlov is a first-person narrative linear adventure where you're dealing with a apartment building and the family that lives there, different time periods, different events in their lives in the USSR, and is very much a story-focused experience. It is not combat or anything. It's walking around and exploring the house and doing different tasks and getting to know the different family members. This was published by Sometimes You and developed by Sometimes You. It came out August 11th, 2023, and want to thank Sometimes You for providing us review codes. So this time we'll go to Greg, you first. What was your experience like in Bright Lights?
It was definitely a very interesting start because it has you enter in your apartment building and then you go up to your floor, but then at least I had tried taking the stairs and then it was initially saying oh, you can't go up any further, and then so you had to go over the elevator. Okay, fine. And then thankfully it was nice and easy to figure out there's only one elevator button to press, and you go up to the floor and then you're kind of exploring around at least the outside area, and you discover your one is locked and one of the neighbors has the key. And then it took me a little while to figure out exactly which neighbor that was, and then thankfully I did find it, and then I didn't realize that he just kind of threw the key and then it landed on the ground, so I had no idea where even it was, and I spent a good 20 minutes just trying to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do, and then eventually I looked at a guide and it explained that the key was actually on the ground, and then I finally actually kind of saw it because it didn't really look like a normal key that you would expect it to be, and I don't know if it blended in where it landed, but I certainly didn't even see it or didn't really figure out how to really look down to actually find it. But yeah, I was able to continue on from there, and then I did use the guide to kind of help through a lot of the story parts. But one of the main thing there is the kind of the navigation is extremely kind of slow. Thankfully, it's very limiting, so you can't just go out the apartment and just walk down all the stairs or even use the elevator when you're not really needing to. So I do appreciate there are some boundaries in place, so you don't just are wandering around aimlessly. But there's not really a ton of areas to really look through, and it seems like some of the things are kind of not fully easy to see and to be able to click on, because the mouse cursor kind of makes it kind of difficult to select certain different items that you're supposed to interact with. So I did have some difficulty doing that, even though I knew exactly where those items were. So there was a little bit of difficulty there. And then I think around midway through, I did encounter a soft lock where I was had picked up the nails off of a step ladder thing, and then I was trying to fill the bucket or whatever, but then it said I had to get something out of my get rid of the hammer out of my hand first, but then I couldn't even do anything with that. I was trying to go to the spot where that was trying to cause it, but since I had done something out of order, or I had the bucket in my hand but I couldn't pick up the hammer, I couldn't do anything else with that at the time, so I ended up having to restart that chapter. So I was made sure to kind of follow closely, just do one of the three at a time, and not just do two of them simultaneously. So there's kind of some issues so that you can't even put down things or return things to back where they go, so then you don't have to restart the entire chapter. So that was kind of disheartening there, but I did make it through the full story and all the way to the end and see the very ending of it. So yeah, that's was kind of a pretty short game, and it was just obviously a little bit clunky with the UI, but I don't know what you thought, Steve.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with the clunky AI. It's so hard to get the selection. It's just this little dot cursor that's in the middle of your screen to get it just in the right spot. It's such a pain sometimes. In general, I have no idea what's going on with this. I was hoping, Barry, that you'd be able to give me some more information in your introduction there, because I was I still have no idea what's going on in this game. You're thrown into it with little backstory at all, basically just a one sentence sort of thing, and here you are in this apartment and figure it out. I think the concept of this game is cool. I think, being able to step into even kind of a mysterious sort of situation, and you're trying to figure out what's going on and kind of learning. It's kind of weird because it almost seems like me as the player, I've got amnesia. I'm like learning as you go. I don't think the player has amnesia, but I feel like I, as the actual person playing the game, does, because I have no idea what's going on. And I think by the time, like, all of these things that you talked about too, Greg, like you don't know what's going on. You can't use the stairs. You have to use the elevator. Why don't you even have your own key to the like your own apartment? All these different things are kind of confusing and it's weird. And you're trying to wrap my head around it. And then after entering my apartment, I ended up knocking something over. And I was forced to do that part of the story. I didn't do it on purpose or on accident. It's part of the story. And so that led me on a cleanup mission to find a towel and then to wet the towel in the bathroom, because for some reason I can't use the kitchen to wet the towel. So I had to go to the another room to get to the bathroom. But before cleaning it up in the process, I ended up picking up a trash can that I was unable to drop. It just carried it in front of me the whole time with both hands. So I have no idea how I ended up wetting this towel and then used the towel to clean up anything, because I was using both hands to carry the trash can the whole time. But anyway, all that's it's just kind of weird and clunky in a way. And within 5 minutes of playing this game, I was already getting motion sickness, and I kept pushing through because I'm like, I need to play more of this game to actually have a good chat about this. But it was within 5 minutes that I was already kind of feeling woozy. But yeah, at this point, like in the game, after doing all these things and not understanding and having to go on these, like, you have to do things in order as well. And so if you go out of order, it kind of messes things up, or you try to go out of order. But it's basically like these fetch missions. You have to go here to do that, and then you have to go there to do that, and here to do that. And this whole time, I'm getting more and more sick. I'm getting frustrated, but also I'm getting sick, and I really don't feel like pushing through. So kudos to you, Greg, for actually finishing the story, because I could not do it unless I play it in like 5-minute segments. On top of that, like the very basic menu is kind of broken in the game as well. Like when you push A to start the game, but you'll also see a little back button in the bottom left. You cannot navigate to that whatsoever. It's just there. It's words on a screen. That's all. You can't use the B button to go back as well. So you're just basically stuck there with either having to start the game and then back out, or just close down the game altogether, which is what I'd recommend.
Wow. So I booted it up and I was put into the hallway and I'm walking around. I couldn't go up the stairs and I couldn't click anything. I'm like, why can't I click anything? Nothing's clickable. What is this? I thought the game was broken. So I pushed the menu and I restarted the game after like 5 minutes. I'm like, maybe something happened. I had a bad load. So I loaded up the game again. Now I'm looking. I finally found something I can click. It was the mailbox. I opened it up and I got a piece of mail. Okay. That doesn't help me. Great. So then I found a panel that I was able to open up, and it was like a utility panel, and I couldn't do anything in there, but I was able to open it. Okay, great. So eventually, I was able to get into the elevator, and I was able to go up. I was like, okay. So the first thing I did when I exited out was there's that utility panel. So let me click it. So I click it, and there's a bottle of booze in there. And it was like, oh, so-and-so is keeping his booze here. I'm like, okay, cool. So then I got the letter, and I had to go to the neighbor. I realized she threw the key. I picked up the key. I went inside. I knocked over the thing. And when I'm trying to clean, they're like, oh, you need alcohol. And I was like, oh, I see where this is going. I run out into the hall. I'm like, I'm stealing my friend's booze that's hidden there. And I couldn't use it. I'm like, why? Why introduce? It's literally a loaded gun. You introduce it into the scenario, but you can't use it. It's bad. Why? It's character development for a character that I don't think you ever see in the game. So why is it there? It's not needed. Unless they allowed you. Now, it would be cool if that was an alternate solution to the problem, and maybe if you used his alcohol, you got an angry letter or something like that in the next chapter where he was mad that his alcohol, or he complained about some of his alcohol missing. That would be kind of cool. But no, there's a set choice and list of what you have to do. There is no deviation. So they introduced that bottle of alcohol, and nothing happens. And based on your face, Steve, I don't think you even saw that alcohol. Maybe you didn't
I
see it.
I think I saw it, but honestly, I didn't get far enough in the game to even need any alcohol because I was
Well,
about
you
to
need the
puke at that
alcohol to
point.
clean to
Oh, it
clean the
just said
floor.
wet. I thought it would said a wet towel for me, and
You
so
didn't need
I
like
just went. I
alcohol.
thought I'd go to the sink.
No, I think you had already done that because I think the first part is to like you have to like soften it with the alcohol, and then you have to
Yeah,
get like use the then you have to wet a towel to clean it from that.
yeah. And like
Somehow
I
I was
tried to
able
use
to
like the
clean without
expensive
wetting it with alcohol.
alcohol.
Then
Yeah, because I tried to use like the expensive alcohol. I was like, no, she'll kill me or something like that. So there was acknowledgement for that, but there was no acknowledgement, like even like a line like, "Oh, my friend would kill me" or something. Like, no, nothing at all.
Hmm.
So I did the whole first few chapters, and like you, it was no. Why do I have to go to this sink? Why like again? Why is there always the one? Like, give me multiple options. Make me feel like I'm living in this world as opposed to just going through checkbox simulator. And you could tell the dev was really proud of the doorway to the kitchen, which was really cool. It was like those hanging rope thing, and it was really impressive. And I started going back and forth through it. I'm like, this is kind of fun. I'm watching it slowly flow down, and then I broke it where one of the strands managed to appear in the living room for some reason, and it was just hanging in the living room, and it was completely missing from the doorway. I'm like, oops. And then I went through, and it like stayed up. It looked like a static had hit it, and it was just like, I'm like, oh, I think I broke it. Oops, I played with it too much.
that's why we can't have nice
But
things, Barry.
can't have nice things. Um, and the story jumping around was really weird to me. Like sometimes you're him, sometimes you're the wife, and like I didn't get that timetable of where is this is a precursor? Is this before? Like, am I jumping around time? Like, how far in advance? Is this going? That was a little confusing to me. Maybe other people got it fine. Maybe Greg, you understood it perfectly because I was confused on where I was going in the time. But again, like you, I didn't get motion sick yet. I was taking it in strides, but the third or the fourth chapter, the whole thing crashed on me. The whole game just crashed, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess the bright lights went out. So that happened. So I don't know what happened. I don't know why that happened. I couldn't replicate it. It just decided to say, nope, you've had enough of this. So I went back and tried to figure out where I was going. I had to restart the chapter, and I was kind of turned off by it. I wasn't really feeling it. I was never invested in the story. I wanted to in a narrative adventure. I want to be invested in the story. I didn't know who these characters were. I didn't care who these characters were. Nothing about it spoke to me other than here's somebody who seems kind of down in their luck. They're living in a crappy apartment building, and they're just trying to make it day by day. And they have a really rocky relationship with their wife, and they're trying to just not get killed by their wife and make her happy. And I that's all I got out of it. That's not making me care. So
Greg, I
go on.
actually have a question because since you've actually finished it, what what is the point to this game? Is it a mystery? Are we supposed to be figuring out something, or is it just you're going through this guy's life and that's it?
I think I just like it going through like his life just basically a little bit because there's like this weird part of towards the end, like we're going through like the cellar area and like the furnace room and stuff, and then you're like almost start like into like a hallucination dream thing. There's like a sudden like black room like with no light that you're in, and you have to like walk towards the light and navigate through like a random tunnel. So it's like there's like some like it's very weird at the end, and it just feels like it just one part like a day in the life of
Hmm.
him to begin with. Like the
Interesting.
first parts is just like doing tasks around the house, whether you're just like washing dishes, doing laundry, um, doing those kinds of things. And then there's like the one chapter I was stuck on, like it was like five, I think, or six, where you're putting together the daughter's room or whatever. You have to like put together her bed and like also hang up like a cabinet and like and hang her put new light bulbs in the ceiling fan, and like it's all these like random set of tasks that you're like doing like as like the family, and you're like the wife for a little bit. You're primarily like the husband initially, and then I think there's even like one short segment where you're the daughter. So it's pretty much like a day in the life of kind of thing, and like the time frames just kind of jump around because I think each chapter has like a different date, and it usually like jumps whatever like a either like a week or like a month or whatever in advance. So it's just a number of days just kind of string together, kind of.
Okay.
It's definitely an interesting setup. So once again, we do want to iterate. Sometimes you did provide us review codes, so thank you very much. This did come out August 11th of 2023, and it is $9.99 on the eShop right now. So Greg, you beat it, so we're going to go to you first. Is it worth it at that price? Wait for a sale or pass?
I don't really think it's worth it at the current price. I guess if it was on a pretty decent sale, you might get a little bit of a story out of it. But with the clunky cursor and difficulty selecting things, and not even really understanding all the different things you can do, and especially if you are trying to do two of the tasks at once, it kind of gets you into like a soft lock position, as like me and Steve described in two different chapters. So I mean, unless there's something that kind of helps resolve that, then I don't even know if I can provide a full strong recommendation. But I mean, there is the somewhat decent, interesting story where, like I was kind of describing, you're in like a dark room with like a bright light at the towards the end of the full like the story or whatever. So there is potentially a little bit if you're able to work through the difficulty of the UI and selection and stuff and want to press forward.
And what about you, Steve?
Yeah, I can't recommend this game. I just, yeah, I think I get what they're trying to do, and it seems lofty. It sounds really cool. I mean, mid 1980s Soviet Union slice of life kind of story, great. But I didn't get the impression that I was there. Like if I did, that'd be cool to like gain perspective of like what life was like then in that culture and all that stuff. But it's pretty mundane. Like, oh, like I'm washing clothes and I'm going to find I spilled something. I go pick it up. I'm like, that's life in 2025 America as well. Like like there's not a whole lot different there. And maybe that's the thing. I don't know. But I feel like it could have done better to give me that experience that I think they were shooting for. And because of the clunkiness, I wanted to puke. If you're anything you get motion sickness at all, I'm incredibly surprised you didn't get motion sickness, Barry. But I had to call it quits because if I pushed any further, I would have been cleaning up my own mess in my room instead of the mess on the screen. So yeah, I can't recommend it.
Yeah, I didn't get the motion sickness, which was good, and I think that might have been because it was a slower moving game, so I was able to take my time and adjust. But I did get a little dizzy just from the frustration of going back and forth because there's only like 4 rooms in a hallway, and I'm like, where's the solution? I've been to all these rooms, and now I'm just like rapidly clicking everywhere, just trying to find it.
That's the thing, because it's not just the general movement; it's having to go back and forth and back and forth. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
just spinning around, and this is not good. Yeah.
And it was just like, where is this? Why can't I figure this out? What, like, it shouldn't be this difficult. What the heck? Like, it was one part, it was like, go to sleep on the couch. And it was like, okay, click the couch. Why can't I go to sleep on the couch? The couch is right there. Lay down and go to sleep. Oh, well, I needed to open up a drawer and grab sheets and put sheets on the couch. Okay. Well, now can I do it? No. Why can't I? Oh, I got to go back there. And there was a pillow in there, but it didn't look like a pillow. It was just something white. I had to click that and then put that on there. Now I can go to sleep on the couch. If I'm exhausted, I'm just laying down on the couch and going to sleep.
That's what a couch is for.
So I kind of agree. I can't really recommend it at $9.99 at a discount. If you want a small slice of life of Soviet Russia in the 80s, then yeah, you get a little bit of a story here. You get some experience, but I don't think the game does anything new or unique that you can't find elsewhere, unfortunately. But if you love first-person story adventures, with tasks like cleaning up and writing letters and making a couch to go to sleep, then you'd be hard pressed to find another game with such tasks in this order. So, that being said, we do thank you for watching. If you like content like this, reviews like this, please subscribe to NintendoFuse here on YouTube and go to NintendoFuse.com. You could also check out our bi-weekly podcast, industry interviews, and a bunch of other videos. Steve, Greg, thanks so much for joining me today. And everyone out there, have a great day.